Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down everything in the college football landscape for week one, and you can't teach that. Bada boom, man of the people in the room. G Money Grant Mitchell, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Tanner. I am doing pretty good. It was a great time to be able to watch some football last night. I was sitting there with my girlfriend, and I was basking in the moment because it had been so long since we'd had football on TV. I know we had the preseason. I'm talking real, it's a live gun. You're at the range. They say, everybody be careful. Don't step across this line because we've got live fire going. That's what it felt like here. Yeah, we had week 0 last week, but the best game of the week was in Ireland. It was still fun, but you felt a little disconnected. This felt like football is actually back, and I'm here for it.
And we really even have not had football back yet when you think about it, because we haven't had like West Virginia, Penn State, which we're getting tomorrow. We haven't had, what's another big game we got here? I mean, Florida, Miami, games that are meaningful in hostile environments. We still really haven't had that. I mean, Colorado, I guess, was a meaningful hostile environment game for North Dakota State, but that should have been a blowout on Colorado's part. They're just not that good. But we got some big games, meaningful games in tough environments tomorrow, and I can't wait.
You know what's weird right now? I don't know if it feels this way to you. This is completely changing subjects here. I woke up this morning, 6 a.m. like I always do. I looked outside. It was dark. I swear it got dark early, basically overnight. The days have gotten so much shorter. Again, it feels like it just feels like someone flicked a switch and now we don't have light outside anymore.
I kind of like that, though. I like when it gets dark early because that means football's here. That means we can sit on the couch at 4:30 and get ready for Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football. I do like having the extra daylight hours to go run and stuff, but I do like fall. Fall's the best time of the year. There's nothing like football. You don't realize how much you miss football until football actually comes back to you. And, like when football ends and we go into March Madness, you kind of forget about it a little bit. But football is king in this country. This is what people care. If you don't care about football, what do you care about?
This might be a hot take, but I don't know if I can go all the way with you. I'm with you that I like having football back. I don't like losing. I don't like that it's 4:50 and the sun is basically gone down already. It's not even 5 o'clock yet. But I actually kind of like waking up in the dark. I like getting up at 6:30 and it's still very dark outside. There's something sort of calming about it to me.
This is a hot take here. If you don't love football, are you weird?
That's not a hot take.
Are you weird if you don't like football? I mean, everyone loves football.
I think you are.
I think you're a little weird if you don't like football. I'm sorry. If you don't like football, you're a little weird. And also too, everyone can find something they like within football. Even, the trending TikTok that goes around where it's like, it's a Sunday in Lambeau Field, that audio where the girls are putting the chili and the thing out and they're like, this is so cool. You know that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone finds something that they love about football, even that.
You know what I don't understand? And I recognize this is definitely, there is a subsect of fans that are like that. I don't understand people who only like college football and not the NFL. And same thing with basketball, only like college basketball and not the NBA. To me, I'm such a sports fan, just in general. I love every sport, but college football is still football. NFL football is football. Why don't you like both? I don't get it.
Well, I think it's weird if you don't like college football and the NFL. I think they're both great. College is a different product than the NFL. I think from the basketball perspective, I see a lot more people that just like college basketball than just like college football. Because I think football is still king, even though the NBA is massive. But I see a lot more sole college basketball fans than I do sole college football NFL guys.
So I don't know if I'm off base in this because, again, I'm not one of these people. I think it might have something to do with the fact people went to colleges, so they're able to kind of buy into it that way, whereas they have no ties to the NFL or the NBA. But I still don't get it. If you like college football, you like football, so you should like the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think basketball is different. I like the NBA. You know my NBA journey. I like the NBA more in the postseason. I think I like college basketball more on a Tuesday night than I like the NBA on a Tuesday night. if I had to pick. I think just the atmosphere of the games make it a little more exciting. It's also a sloppier product. Like that's the thing between college football and the NFL. The NFL, a bad team in week one of the NFL is like a 6-point underdog. If you're a 6-point underdog in college football, you can win with ease.
So to me, there's an answer here, but I want to see what your take is. Compared to the professional league, who do you think is further behind? Do you think college basketball players are further behind the NBA, or college football players are further behind the NFL?
So college basketball players are much further behind the NBA. Nobody knows college basketball players.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah, everyone knows college football. Like, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders. There's also more of them too. Like you have teams, every team has 100 kids on it, and there's a lot more. Well, there's not a lot more teams for more college basketball teams, but you have 100 kids on every team. Where college basketball this year, at least, like there wasn't a lot of faces. I mean, you can say Zach Edey, you can say Donovan Clingan, you can say, the kid for Terrence Shannon, but none of them have the name of even, I don't know, Jimmy Horn Jr. Like I'm in college football. There's a lot of dudes in college football that have names that aren't even close, comparatively speaking, to the stars of college basketball.
Yeah, I'm glad we agree on that because I'm with you there.
Yeah. Well, NBA guys too are like the gold standard of media and all that stuff. I think the NBA is ahead of the NFL in a lot of cases when you look at star power because they don't have a helmet on. Like quarterbacks, that's a different story. But, if you take a really good receiver in the NFL, you might not know him compared to, a secondary basketball player.
I mean, aside from Patrick Mahomes, I think Jason Tatum's a bigger star than Josh Allen. I think Jason Tatum's a bigger star than Lamar Jackson.
Did you see the Netflix documentary that's coming out? That's going to be awesome.
I did, yes.
That's going to be really, really good. That's going to be better than quarterback or receiver combined.
Yeah, it'll be good. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, everyone's just shitting on Jason Tatum, the best basketball player in the NBA, and we get to see it firsthand.
I wish I could remember. I saw somebody come to his defense, somebody very important. Do you know who it was?
No, but I remember. I know. Was it a former basketball player?
Yeah, like it just happened like yesterday or the day before something. I was reading about it.
I'm seeing Tom Brady. I don't know if that's true.
That actually might have been. Actually, I think that is who it was. Now that you say that, I think it might have been Brady.
Did you see the clip that Jaylen Brown was talking about Jason Tatum? I don't know if it was real or not, but he said Jason said he would have rather not went to Paris this summer.
It doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. I'm just surprised he said it. But I mean, everyone can. Well, would you rather win a gold medal and not play and be under that much scrutiny, but in the end of the day, you still have a gold medal around your neck, or would you rather not go to the Olympics and not win a gold medal? He's already won a gold medal, though.
So, I mean, right? I don't think it's fair to answer because when you're Jason Tatum, you've been a star your entire life. You're making $300 million in this contract. You've won the finals. You've already won a gold medal, blah, blah, blah. You have certain expectations that you hold yourself and other people to. For me, when I played sports, like, at one point, yes, I was the best on my high school team and everything, but I was never a state champion. I was never an All-American, much less the best in the country at one point. So I think the mindset of trying to be a contributor is a little different. For me, I'd absolutely take the gold medal, but if I just won a finals, if I'd already won a gold medal, if I'm supposed to be this guy you hold on a pedestal and then you kind of disrespect me by not playing me at all, yeah, I can understand feeling like I would have rather just not gone in the first place.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the Celtics are going to win a championship now because of it. You just can't bet it, so the odds are so short, which sucks. But anyways, Grant, we got college football to talk about. Big slate coming up tomorrow. We are going to recap Colorado a little bit because they're acting like they won the damn Super Bowl after beating North Dakota State last night. But before we do that, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. You like the video, you comment, you share. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up during football season, so don't miss out. Subscribe to Ride the Line. Become a rider. That's what we're calling them now. Become a rider. Get on the pod.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's ride on over, talk about this Colorado game. The Buffalo versus the Bison, Tanner.
Buffalo versus the Bison. Colorado 131-26. Now, keep in mind, North Dakota State did not score in the second half till the fourth quarter. They also missed a 2-point conversion, which would have brought it to 3, where they could have kicked a game-tying field goal. They were 4 yards away from winning this game. Colorado is horrendous. I I was sitting there, Grant, before the game yesterday, and I'm looking at their win total. It was 5.5. I'm like, you're telling me this Deion Sanders coach team is not going to win 5.5 games? They will not win 5 games this year. They are that bad because you look like gods on offense, honestly. Shedeur Sanders was fantastic. But defensively, you were terrible, and you were getting ripped up by North Dakota State, who probably shouldn't be ripping you up. And then on offense, you look good, but it was against North Dakota State. So if you don't look as good on offense, and you're probably going to look worse on defense most weeks when you're going against an FBS school, you're not winning a lot of football games.
Yeah, so I saw beforehand that all of the money was on Colorado, which I thought I understood it last year. I thought maybe it would have changed this year because we saw how bad they were. But Deion still has his fans, and understandably so. He's a charismatic guy. I was on NDSU plus 9.5, and then the line jumped to plus 11.5 right before kickoff, so I bought back in. I doubled down on it. And obviously both of those came through. We were at a situation in the fourth quarter where the game was 11 points. So it looked like I was going to win one, lose the other, which would have kind of been a lesson to get in your important numbers, but came through anyway. My biggest takeaways from this game were that Colorado looks to me basically exactly the same as they did last year. Was the offensive line a little better? Yeah. Was the defensive line a little better? Emphasis on little. Yes, but still, I mean, this was like watching a 3-man team. This was like watching Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and Jimmy Horn Jr., and then a bunch of other guys who just put a jersey on. The difference, there were so many things to look in this game. Within the first few minutes of the game, I was watching the game with my girlfriend, and she went to the University of Georgia. I looked at her and I said, the difference between the size of, forget the NFL, the SEC, or even just your top Big Ten programs, looking at the difference in size between those guys and these guys, it looks like these people have never been in a weight room before. And you were seeing it with Colorado getting bullied at the line of attack after they brought in these 50 transfers and everything. Shedeur Sanders, again, he was fantastic. And we're going to talk about him later. Looks to me like he's ready to go to the NFL. Travis Hunter's ready for the NFL. Jimmy Horn Jr. maybe is ready for the NFL. But the rest of the team was just so sloppy, undisciplined, again, physically weak. I'm not going to say intimidated, but they were pushed around in key spots. There was that point in second or third quarter where it's a 3rd and 1, they get stuffed, and then they get stuffed on 4th and 1 as well in their own territory. It looked very much like the same Colorado team I saw last year. So yeah, 4, 5, 6 wins. This team is not. They're not going to rip off 9 or 10. They're not going to make a surprise bid at the conference championship in the playoff. It's not going to happen.
No, there's no chance. They're going to have 3 first-round draft picks. I mean, Jimmy Horn Jr., Shedeur Sanders, and Travis Hunter are all first-round draft picks. They're that good. They just got dominated in the game, though. I mean, North Dakota State, 449 total yards of offense. They threw for 292. They rushed for 157. Colorado, I know they throw the ball nonstop, but they still tried to run the ball. They averaged 2.6 yards per carry against North Dakota State. And North Dakota State's a very physical FCS team. I was on them last night, one, because of the money on Colorado, but when a team has a history, I don't care if they have a new coach or not, when they have a history of playing well against FBS opponents, there's just something in that program, that culture, and they've been good consistently year after year. 10.5 is a lot of points. And if any team was going to struggle defensively, it was going to be Colorado. I had no doubt they were going to score, but once North Dakota State started going up and down the field, I had no fear. There was one spot when it got dicey in the fourth quarter when Colorado scored that final touchdown, and they were up, 11 at the time?
Yep.
11. So that was the only moment in the game where I was a little like, okay, we got to go drive the field. We haven't done it in the second half, but just the amount of explosive plays, I wish I had that stat here, because it seemed like North Dakota State kept ripping off explosive after explosive after explosive to a point that they almost looked like the Colorado offense.
Yeah, Cam Miller, the quarterback, was great. So, I mean, huge shout out to him, because this North Dakota State team, this was supposed to be a running team, and they did run the ball 43 times, but Cam Miller had some really good passes down the field, and if he didn't see anything, he would tuck it and run it. They weren't designed runs. He was just reading the situation, and he did a great job. Also, his ability late in the game when he did score the only touchdown of the second half for North Dakota State, that little scramble up the left side, that goes back to some of the issues Colorado's had. Again, they finally finally get a little bit of pressure on the quarterback. They barely got any the entire game, and they have no gap integrity. So he's running scot-free. I mean, there's nobody within 20 yards of him the entire way to the end zone. So again, it just goes back to you're not going to have a spy. You're not going to hold your gap. Well, in a fourth quarter, in a situation where you can slam the door, no, we're basically just going to give up a free touchdown. There was a spot earlier in the game where Colorado gets off the field on third down, and their defensive lineman lined up offside. Shiloh Sanders commits 3 late hits in this game in the first half. Finally, they call one of them. That ends up being, a bit of a backbreaker. What else? Oh, speaking of discipline, not from the players, from the coach. What was the decision to throw the ball on first down within 2 minutes? North Dakota State has 1 timeout left, and on first down, you come out throwing a 40-yard bomb. I understand in a vacuum, you have Travis Hunter in a one-on-one. You always want to look for that matchup. I get that. Not with 1 timeout left in less than 2 minutes. If you run this ball 3 times, the game is over. Because I don't either Deion completely lost track of the game or he let his pride get in the way. Either one is inexcusable. Doesn't really matter which one it is. But because that happened, you gave North Dakota 40 seconds to drive down the field, and they came within 4 yards of winning that game. And if they did somehow, if the quarterback has 4 more yards of strength on his arm, that all goes back to Deion and that decision right there.
So when you look at the win totals, Colorado's still over 5.5. I believe they were like minus 135, minus 140 to go over that. And I could be wrong here, but now they're like minus 120 to go over 5.5 wins. So it seems like there's been a little bit shift back to the under on Colorado. We got to pump the brakes on them. My biggest thing was you always celebrate a win. It's never bad to win, no matter who you go against, whether it's North Dakota State or not. And North Dakota State's a really good FCS program. They probably be a team that has the caliber of going to a bowl game in the FBS.
They won 9 of the last 13 championships.
Yeah, no, this is a very good program. There's nothing to be upset about. But when you come into the year with these, people think you could be a Big 12 champion. People think, you have national championship, college playoff aspirations. Like I know a guy, I don't know him, but I saw on social someone bet like, $100,000 on Colorado to make the playoffs or some insane number. They're not making the playoffs. That bet is trashed right now. This team can't stop anybody. And when you can't stop anyone, you can't win because, these shootout games, they're not going to work. And you also need to be able to run the football too. Like a great football team, when everyone knows you're passing the ball, you can make completions. You can stretch the ball down the field. A great football team also, when everyone knows you're running the ball and you need to run the ball, you can do that at will. Colorado can't do that, and they can't get stops. They're not going to be good.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the deal there with the offense is because they brought in Dallin Hayden, who's an Ohio State transfer. Didn't play a whole lot, but he's supposed to make a big impact. Apparently, I was listening to Joel Klatt talk about him, and he said that he has heard from Buckeyes fans and people inside the program that they had a lot of belief in Dallin Hayden. So he was supposed to come here and make an impact after you lose Leonard Hankerson and 9 carries for 20 yards. I don't know if it's his fault. I don't know if they weren't giving him the ball at the right time. I don't know if it's a schematics issue, but we saw Colorado had one of the worst rushing offenses in the entire country, maybe the worst last year. And again, going back to what I said, looks exactly the same this year as it did last year.
Yeah. I mean, that win against TCU last year to begin the season was probably the worst thing for college football. And I'm a big Colorado guy. I would root for this team. I want to see them good. I do like Deion, but that win against TCU painted a false reality that this team is capable because TCU was really bad last year and it was a shootout and they found a way to win it. But Colorado is just, we talk about them a lot because of Deion, but they're not on the level of these teams. Like Colorado is equivalent to a team that's going to get just beat up in the Big 12 this year.
With all that being said, Tanner, let's talk about some of these players. So Shedeur Sanders completed, about 75% of his passes, just going off my mental math, 26 to 34, 445 yards, 4 touchdowns. We're not counting the interception. He threw it into the ground. It bounced off somebody's ankle 10 feet into the air. It gets picked off. It's not an interception. When that play happens, his QBR does not go down. So I'm just not even calling it. 445 yards, 4 touchdowns. Shedeur has, I think, everything you want to see of an NFL quarterback. I mean, he's not as big as a lot of the other guys, but he's taken a lot of punishment over last season. And then he was on his back a lot again in this game. he gets up just fine. He's a very tough kid. I understand that he does run a lot. I don't think he's mobile. His feet, his footwork, his feet are just slow. I don't really. I'm not saying he is slow. His feet are slow. They kind of dangle behind him. He doesn't really pick them up as he's moving downfield. He goes through his progressions very well. He's got all the arm strength and accuracy you want in the world. For me, the only thing is when he does go through his progressions and he sees he doesn't have anybody, throw the ball away. He basically never does. He always holds on to it, and that's how he gets himself in trouble. That's how he gets sacks. That's how he runs for negative yards. But Shedeur looks great, man. I understand that it's a toss-up right now between him and Carson Beck to be the first quarterback taken. We haven't seen Carson Beck, but from what I saw last year of him, I think Shedeur is the best quarterback in this draft.
Oh, yeah, by far. He's much better than anyone else. Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Shedeur, and the fact on holding on the football you're talking about, that's going to disappear in the NFL because you can't do it in the NFL. You can get away with it in college. You can't get away with it in the NFL. He was fantastic last night. He's got a really good receiving room to work with. Jimmy Horn Jr., I was super impressed with just his explosiveness. I mean, Travis Hunter gets all the love as he should. I mean, he made some amazing catches last night, but Jimmy Horn Jr. is right up there. This could be one of the best 1-2 punches in the country as far as speed goes. It doesn't matter, though. The team's still not going to be good. But, credit to all three of those guys. They're probably all going in the first round.
So I'm surprised. I don't know if surprised is the right word, but I haven't heard many people talking about Jimmy Horn, and you're saying you think he can go in the first.
Yeah, I think he can go in the first. I mean, because I think Travis Hunter gets all the praise, and this team wasn't good. So once they disappeared last year.
What do you think of Travis Hunter? Where do you think he belongs in the NFL? Defense or offense? Or is he playing both? Does it depend on the team that drafts him?
Let me see. 6'1", probably belongs on defense.
So at the start of last year and maybe halfway through last year, I said defense as well because I feel like a player of that sort of talent can make more of an impact on defense. If you can take away one side of a field, I mean, that is huge. But I think he's better, even if he can have more impact. I think he's better as a receiver. I worry about his size a little bit on defense. Just, I understand that you're not going against, most of the time, unless you're going against AJ Brown or Deebo Samuel, you're not going against like very large receivers all the time. But still, I still only think he's probably about 170, 175. At receiver, I feel like you can make that work because you can utilize your speed more, get the ball in your hands. And also, the more you touch the ball, the more impact you have. So, I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think he's going to be valuable anywhere he plays. He's an athlete. He's a great football player. So it really depends on the team need. I think some teams will have the goal of playing him both ways at times, working him in, but you don't really need to in the NFL. I think in the end of the day, he's more of a defender. I mean, 6'1", you're a good sized cornerback. You're not going to be guarding AJ Brown. If you are, he has the athleticism to stay with him with speed, and he can jump like crazy. So, that's the benefit there. These guys look like gods in college. They're not going to look like gods in the NFL when it comes to catching the ball and ripping off 100-yard gains every week. I think defense is more where he settles in and can play well.
He does have incredible hands, though. He has elite hands.
And that's good for a defender, too, because you have a guy with elite hands that just can go out and basically say play receiver on defense. I mean, you're in good shape.
Yeah, that's Mike Sainristil, the Michigan corner, the guy who Nick Saban said was pound for pound the best player in the draft. He said pound for pound because he's only 5'9". But what made him so good was he had 6 interceptions. I think it is either his first or his second year playing corner, and he came to Michigan as a receiver. So, yeah, we know guys who have ball skills are immensely valuable on defense.
Shout out to the white cornerbacks out there.
Cooper DeJean, the lowest graded player in the final week of the preseason.
There's 3 of them, I think, right? I think we got 3 this
year.
In
the NFL?
Yeah.
There's the Dolphins. I don't know if he's still with the Dolphins. The Dolphins had him last year. There's Cooper DeJean, and then I don't know who the other one is.
Didn't they all go to Iowa?
Probably. Iowa's got another one. Their number 1 corner this year is white again.
Shout out to all the white cornerbacks out there. We're taking the cornerback position back.
I wouldn't count on that.
No, we're not. Hey, but it's good to get some. It's good to get some equal representation out in the islands. Like
Out in the islands.
the island. We don't. The white dudes don't play out in the island too well, so it's good to get.
If they're brave enough to stand out there, then we got to support them.
If you got a white cornerback, you'd be like, this guy's a little twisted in the head. Like he's that dude.
It's like how JJ Redick always says you got to be a sicko. You got to be a sicko to be a white corner.
You got to be a sicko to be like white and playing in the NBA. Like a white dude that can, like, honestly, that's the, I saw a video, like the best black employee in the workplace is the black athlete. Like their majority of sports are black, but when you see a white cornerback coming in there and doing things, like you see a white guy in the NBA, like showing up, that that dude's a bad mother effer.
Yeah, especially when they're trash talkers too. Like if I could have been around, like I love watching Luka, just because he's this guy who smokes hookah and he comes from Europe and he's got some extra pounds on him, and then he's just going out there moving at a snail's pace and he's talking trash to everybody. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Grant. So we have our big college football slate on Saturday. We're going to go through some upset picks right now for everybody. We're going to go through the big games, but the ones that potentially could be upsets. Clemson versus Georgia. Georgia's a 12-point favorite. The line has shifted back in favor of Clemson. I think Georgia's going to dog walk them in this game, but they might not. You never know.
Yeah, it's a neutral field in Atlanta. Good luck with that. Georgia. I just don't see Clemson's offense getting past this Georgia defense. I don't think the Georgia offense is going to be overly explosive. They've never had the best receivers. George Pickens was the closest thing they've had to a 1,000-yard receiver in a long time, and he didn't even hit that number. I understand that Carson Beck, like I was saying, right now, if you look at most mock drafts, they do have Carson Beck going number 1 overall. But Georgia just doesn't have that type of offense where they're going to try to run the score up. They want to get up by 10 to 14 points and then just hold with their defense. So I think the line is pretty good here. I'd probably go with Georgia, but I think it'll be right around that 12-point mark.
Yeah, I agree with that. Looking at the next game here, this is my biggest upset pick of the day, potentially. Penn State going to West Virginia. This is a trap game. And when you're looking at the quarterback play in this one, I trust Garrett Green more than I trust Drew Aller. I like Drew Aller. He had some good games last year, only threw 2 interceptions. But when you look at what he did in the super big games, he wasn't very good. So we'll see if he can take the next step forward here. Give me West Virginia +8. Garrett Green. And, another thing going off Garrett Green, like we were just talking about white cornerbacks. Garrett Green's a 5'11" quarterback, and he's in Division I football. He's a bad mother effer. I think he's going to show up in this game.
That's like Darrell Doucette.
Yeah, just like Darrell Doucette's like 5'6", so he's there is a what's the height requirement to ride? There is.
It's like 5 whatever. It depends on the place, but
be a 5'6" quarterback in college football. 5'11" we can deal with. Can't be 5'6".
What I'm looking for with Penn State here is Drew Aller had some of the lowest air yards per attempt last year. They didn't really let him throw the ball down the field. Penn State brings in Kansas's offensive coordinator. Obviously helped Kansas rise. Obviously Leopold and all them, but he helped them rise as well. Did a lot of good stuff with Jalen Daniels. Does that make a big difference here? On the other side, can West Virginia run the ball? That's what they want to pride themselves in. But Penn State had one of the best rushing defenses in the country last year. I don't have a pick in this one personally, but I do think there's definitely a lot of reasons to look at West Virginia covering and maybe even upsetting.
Well, it opened at 10.5. It's down to 8. That is my one fear, but I'm still going to bet it at 8. I think it's going to be a good game. I think the West Virginia, I don't know if they win it outright. Penn State's really good, but West Virginia, they were a 9-4 football team last year. They won a bowl game. They have a lot of guys returning. They have their quarterback back. It's a good spot for them.
Yeah, I agree. Another big game, interstate battle, Miami versus Florida here.
Hey, you skipped the Huskies.
We'll save the best for last. We'll get to the Huskies later. Miami versus Florida. For me, I'll kick this one off. Miami's favored by 2.5. They've got to win this game by like 10+. To me, Miami has to be good. Miami puts so much funding into their NIL program and everything. They face nothing but disappointment. And with the ACC as open as it is, not just from a roster construction perspective, but the fact Florida State lost in week 1. Now you look around the conference, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, NC State, Clemson, Miami, all of them think we can win the ACC and we can get a top 4 seed in the college football playoff. with Miami, yes, you're quote unquote on the road, but you're going against the Florida team that's been in disarray with Billy Napier. Probably, you don't think Florida has looked at their own schedule and said, this is impossible, we're not going to survive this? They're probably already down and out on themselves. So if you come out, you go up 14-0, that game might be over already. So I got Miami in this one.
I think going into the Swamp is very difficult to win. I don't know who's starting a quarterback for Florida either. Is it Graham Mertz or is it
the Graham Mertz? Yeah,
Graham Mertz is starting because they had the freshman coming in. I like Graham Mertz. I'm a big Graham Mertz fan. I think plus 2.5 is a terrible line for like a home dog that's plus 2.5 in college football. You against a ranked team coming in, I always tend to lean towards that plus 2.5. I think Miami's a better team. I'm not sold on their quarterback either.
Cam Ward?
Miami,
I think he's way better than Graham Mertz.
I just think this is a very tough spot to walk into. I think it's a very tough spot. I wouldn't make a pick in this one. I'm not going to be watching this game. But I do think that Florida finds a way to win it. Because if I'm Florida and I'm looking at my schedule in the back half, I have to win this football game. They're going to win 2 games if they don't win this one.
I got the Canes, and I hate it. I as a Virginia Tech Hokie, I don't want to root for the Canes, but I got the Canes.
It's a tough game. It's a tough game to pick. It's a very tough game to pick. I agree, though. Miami needs to make a statement in this one. And the ACC is now open if what we saw last week with Florida State, they're terrible. We keep going here down the list. Next one, I would say, next big game, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. I like Notre Dame in this one. It really comes down to what the quarterback does. What's his name, Grant? Why can't I? Why am I blanking on it?
Well, here, while you look up what you're looking up, I'll just say I got Notre Dame in this one as well. I think this is a very low-scoring game, defensive-minded battle. Mike Elko's taking over Texas A&M. There's going to be 100,000 people in the stadium. There's going to be some expectations there, obviously, but also it's going to take some time to implement everything. Notre Dame's got a lot of talent on defense. I think they can win this one in a close, low-scoring game.
Is Riley Leonard good? That's what I was looking up. Is Riley Leonard a guy that we saw at Duke last year just because he beat Clemson in one football game that we think he's this guy that can go lead Notre Dame? This is the biggest spot of his career going into College Station to play Texas A&M. I don't know if I trust him here. I think they're going to have to lean on the run game. This one's for Sam Hartman, though. In the end of the day, Sam Hartman just got released by your Commanders.
Now, he got picked back up for the practice squad.
He got released by the hottest man in football, just got cut by your Commanders.
Well, he shouldn't have cut his hair then.
You don't think they're thinking about that in this football game? You don't think they're saying we're playing for Sam today?
Sam was there for 6 months and left.
Sam was probably the greatest quarterback in Notre Dame history as of late.
Oh, please. Ian Book was better than him at Notre Dame.
No, he wasn't. Ian Book. Listen, I want to see Sam Hartman did more for that program than like any quarterback. Okay. Steve Anganelli, Drew Pine was terrible. Jack Cohn.
Is he the one who's playing lacrosse now?
I don't know. He's from Connecticut. Drew Pine, he's not playing lacrosse. He's got to be somewhere. Missouri he's at.
There's some quarterback went from Bama to Notre Dame and then they're playing lacrosse now. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No. All I know is Drew Pine did not get along with Tommy Rees. They used to hate him. And I don't know how Drew Pine's only a sophomore. He's a sophomore. He must be a redshirt sophomore. Drew Pine's he wasn't very good. But when you're looking at instrumental quarterbacks, I mean, DeShone Kizer, Malik Zaire, Tommy Rees was there in 2013. That's amazing. Tommy Rees was only a quarterback there in 2013. I don't think Jimmy Clausen was the most influential quarterback on this list. Brady Quinn and Jimmy Clausen. It's Brady Quinn, Jimmy Clausen, Sam Hartman.
His numbers were okay. He had 2,700 yards, 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions.
He was a dog. Sam Hartman was good. This one's for Sam. But I don't see what's his name. Why do I keep blanking on? Because
Riley Leonard.
I don't see Riley Leonard being that dog. Like I didn't look at him at Duke and say that's a dog. I saw him win one big football game. And then you want to see some crazy stats, Grant?
Let's see it. Let's hear it.
This is a crazy stat. Now, Riley Leonard has not played in a football game since October 28th of last year. All right. He finished the season against 3 ranked teams. Notre Dame, Florida State, Louisville. I'll tell you what, Texas A&M is going to be a lot tougher environment than any of those places. Maybe not Florida State. He was 12 of 27 for 134 against Notre Dame. He was 7 of 16 for 69 yards against FSU, and he was 9 of 23 for 121 against Louisville. He threw 3 picks and 1 touchdown in those 3 games combined. He looked like a god against UConn. He looked good against Northwestern. He looked okay against Lafayette. He was 12 of 12. He was actually really bad against Clemson in the game they won. He was 17 of 33 for 175. You're telling me Riley Leonard is that guy?
I guess we're going to find out.
We're going to find out if he's that guy. I like Notre Dame. I do think Notre Dame finds a way to win it because their defense, their run game, but I don't count on them throwing the ball.
You know who is going to be able to throw the ball, Tanner? And you know who I got not as an upset outright, but as an underdog that I like on the spread?
Yeah.
I like TJ Finley, the 6'7" quarterback who's still a junior despite him being in college for 6 years. I like him to lead the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers into Tuscaloosa. They cover a 31.5-point spread against Bama.
Right. Alabama, I'm worried for Western Kentucky's health in this football game. Like, I don't think they're going to survive this one.
Western Kentucky, okay. I don't know. I understand they're getting paid to go play this game. If they scheduled an easy game, Western Kentucky could have maybe made the college football playoff. Kind of shot themselves in the foot scheduling Bama on the road in week 1.
If they're getting paid a lot of money, Western Kentucky's not going to make the college football playoff, Grant.
I said maybe there's an out. They're not a bad team. They've consistently been like an 8, 9, 10 win team recently.
Didn't they probably played Alabama last season, I think. Or am I wrong?
Here, let me go. I'll go find it.
Middle Tennessee. Alabama beat Middle Tennessee last year. And that was when Jalen Milroe did not know how to play quarterback. He actually knows how to play quarterback now. He had no clue in week 1 last year.
Does he? He was incredible against Georgia. That's it.
He's the nation. He was the most improved. If you're looking at most improved player award, he won it last year for sure.
He did, but then, and I understand there is a huge difference between Michigan and Western Kentucky, but aside from that SEC championship game, he did kind of revert.
When you look at what he did, though, and Alabama was outmatched in the trenches against Michigan, they still should have won that game. But when you look at what Jalen Milroe did against Texas early in the year and how much he improved from that Texas start, it was night and day. Quarterback.
When did he get benched? Was it after the Texas game?
No, he got benched. See, I thought they went to like USF and almost got beat. Oh yeah, they did because 9-9. So he started 9-9 and then 9-23. So he got benched for the USF game, and then Nick Saban's like, we barely made it with these 2 kids. Like Jalen Milroe's our best chance, so they bench him. He wasn't super efficient throwing the football, but he's also, he can also rush for 150 yards in a football game if he wants to. So Alabama's best offensive line in the country. I think Western Kentucky is going to get absolutely slaughtered by Jalen Milroe. This is a different quarterback this year. This is a guy that's going to go and potentially win the Heisman.
It's possible if he takes to Kalen DeBoer's system, and Kalen DeBoer I think he's like 108-12 or something as the head coach. All he does is win, so you would think that he should get the best out of Jalen Milroe, but at the same time, you don't think Nick Saban should have got the best out of him. So it kind of also depends. Does he take to DeBoer's system, which has been more traditionally pocket passing, push the ball down the field? That's not who Jalen Milroe is. So who's going to come meet who? Is Milroe going to go meet DeBoer? Is DeBoer going to go to Milroe? And then also, like, I am joking about TJ Finley. He's already played Alabama twice in his career, once at LSU, once at Auburn. He's on his 3rd stop there. He only turned the ball over once in those 2 games against Alabama. Maybe there's some sort of experience there. Again, I'm not picking them to win, but can they lose by 28 instead of more than 31.5? I think that's possible.
I think it's possible too. Does Alabama make the college football playoff, Grant?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you can't keep them at like a 12-team playoff. That's like Stephen A. Smith was talking to Paul Feinbaum the other day, and Feinbaum suggested he's been making hot takes. Paul Feinbaum, he's trying to stay relevant, it seems, but he said like,
that Lincoln Riley was going to get fired and Dion was going to go to USC.
Yeah, like he's been just making some outrageous takes lately. And he said, Alabama better hope they make the college football playoff. And Stephen A. Smith's like, you think Alabama isn't going to make the college football playoff the first year of a 12-team playoff? Are you crazy? So I think Alabama will be just fine. And 31.5 is a lot of points. So if they win by 28, it's still a good game for Alabama. It just wasn't good enough to cover. Now, biggest game on the slate, UConn versus Maryland.
This is how we're closing out the show.
This is how we're closing out the show. Save the best for last. UConn will walk into Maryland tomorrow and potentially win outright. Potentially. You don't think so? Just watch. Is Maryland good?
Is UConn good?
Grant, UConn.
I know you won the Heisman with the receiver in your dynasty league. That doesn't mean UConn is good.
UConn has one of the best running back backfields in the country.
Who?
Victor Rosa and Cam Edwards. They are nasty. They are going to walk in there and run all over Maryland. Like Maryland, everyone's talking about how good Maryland's defense is. Maryland is going to get absolutely crossed up by the UConn Huskies rushing attack tomorrow. And then we have Nick Evers. You ever heard of Nick Evers, Grant?
I have.
He was at Oklahoma. He was at Wisconsin for like a cup of coffee in the spring, and then he came to UConn, and he's that guy. He's got like a 90 throw power in college football 25. So you better watch out for him. And then this defense for UConn, let me tell you something. The defense has never been the issue for the Huskies. They're legit. So if we can score a little bit, I'm just saying, bookmakers don't know any. They're going off college football 25 to start the year too.
I never asked you when news came out last week, UConn to the Big 12. What do you think?
It's not realistic yet.
What do you mean? Didn't they agreed to it?
No, it's still a long way away because they need to show a plan how they would be competitive in football by 2028.
Well, so I think it was 2028 for every sport except football, which was 2031, which makes sense. You give a longer runway, you can invest, and then maybe you can be more competitive by then.
UConn in the Big 12 for football would be very interesting. They'd get smoked.
UConn, I mean, it would be 7 years down the line, and UConn has money. They have money they can use.
It's just you want to take it away from the basketball program.
Right.
Like that's you got to take money from that. And you got to get donors. Like Jim Mora, football coach at UConn, came out and said we need to pay our players. Like if we can't compete from an NIL perspective, we're never going to be able to compete. Like that's why he said we went from 6 wins down to 3 wins. Which I don't know. They blew a lot of games last year, but if we want better players, we need to pay them to come in here. UConn's it's a great campus. It's got a really good football facility. That's the thing. Like everyone knows what UConn is because of the basketball program. So it puts the football program on the map just by that.
Yeah. I mean, I hope they join. The way things are going and the landscape's already busted as it is. So yeah, let's get all the big schools together and let's just let them go do their thing.
So are you on the UConn train tomorrow? Plus 20.5? 20.5 is a lot of points. Maryland's not.
It is a lot of points. It is a lot of points. And Maryland just historically is inconsistent. So I'll probably be on them from spread perspective, not a money line.
Without Talia Tagovailoa?
Yeah. I honestly don't even know who their next quarterback is.
It doesn't matter. UConn's going to win. I'll say this. I'll end the show with this. I simmed this game multiple times in college football 25, and UConn's actually won more. You're telling me UConn's a 78 in college football 25, Maryland's an 80, and they deserve to be a 20.5 point favorite? I don't think so.
I'm glad to see this is where you're getting your logic from.
A lot of people are. I saw a Texas A&M beat writer, and every week he's going to sim the Texas A&M game. So he simmed Notre Dame A&M, and Texas A&M had a game-winning drive with 2 minutes to go to beat Notre Dame. So
there you go. Script leaked.
All right. Oh, Grant, why don't you take us out of here?
Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. Tanner and I appreciate you all joining us. Make sure that you kick back, relax, enjoy the college football this weekend. We will catch you all on the next episode of Ride the Line. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We will see you very soon.